Hi. Whew. It actually, it's been just a little over 1 year exactly since I've been to an open mic poetry reading. I've gotten to, see some art online and go to some gatherings, but nothing that was an open mic like this. And this is just making me feel very emotional. So it's great. It's yeah. Geez, Rob Sturma. I haven't seen some of you in so long. Whew. So I'm just gonna take a breath. And just have a little recreational cry with you all, if that's all right. I sort of feel like beginning with the piece. Yeah, all the poems I feel attracted to in this moment are, of course, poems about the sort of threshold of death and rebirth, as we just came off the spring equinox. But it feels like, for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere anyway, it feels like we're not just leaving a 3-month-long winter. It feels like we're actually leaving a sort of, 15-month-long winter, like this, the psychological winter. And so, yeah, that's what's up. That's what I'm doing. This first piece is from Rise of the Trust Fall, which has a lot of death rebirth going on in it. And it's a piece called Zen of the Broken. So yeah, here's to that. Be broken. Lie there on the ground in the wreckage until you can feel all of your new jagged edges individually. Notice how much more surface area there is to you now. Notice there's a rhythm to the stinging. It will lead you back to your pulse. Try to move if you can. Follow the path the pain takes when it forks and sharks through your body. Focus on your uneven breath. Try to love the way it hitches now, how each drag of air cuts through the field of panic. As your thoughts struggle to harden into words, return to your breath. Put yourself into sitting as best you can. Be tender. Try speaking. Grasp the leathery harness of your voice. How long have you been crying? Hum something your mother taught you. Anything is fine. Feel it vibrate in your chest. That is where your heart is, still beating, still wrestling life into you, still pushing back against the world. Whew. All right. Yeah, man, I don't know how y'all are doing, but yeah, what a fucking abyss. I feel half the time, like a lot of the year, I felt like I was walking around with kind of like a, I don't know, in the dark with a lantern, and just like finding people in the dark, and being like, hey, how you doing? I think maybe your shoes are around here somewhere. Let's see if we can find them. This next piece is from Open Your Mouth Like a Bell. And this Open Your Mouth Like a Bell is sort of organized into seasons. So the section 3 has got some spring poems in it. But this one stays a little bit in the darkness of the moment. It's the first poem in the spring section. It's called What to Expect. Whew. It won't make sense right away. You'll struggle in the meat. Your therapist will say the things to you a dragon would say. You'll wake up and everything will be burning. Your eyes, your throat, your good intentions, you'll come loose like a battered nest. An entire Colorado of tears will overpower the dam on the days you labor hardest to be pretty and calm. And you'll have to crouch and hide in your office, your car, a public restroom. Insanity will bark at you like a dog. Everything you thought you were angry about, everyone you hated to the scorched edges of you, all the hostility detonating, the elaborate monstering was actually a displacement, a projection, protecting you from seeing this, the most real, the sharpest, the earliest. There are reasons you hid this from yourself. There are reasons you locked up. The human wiring in you has studied the instructions for hard shell, exoskeleton, chrysalis. The wisdom of the body, however it distorts, is still wisdom. You aren't ready until you are. It doesn't come until you're safe. Safety is what was taken from you. The thing that left the black hole, the hunger. Safety happens to you as quietly as an old blanket. You're making dinner on the stove and humming. The myrtle trees have just started to lavender outside the window. You're adjusting the antenna on the radio. It enters your home through the front door and takes your favorite chair. At first you think, how nice is this? To not be alone anymore, to not be scared. And then gently, so gently, it turns a key. Whew. All right. I've got some bells. Sort of pull, getting in the way of the poems. Thank you for, I felt like I needed to start in some darkness and then come out of it a little bit. Although, yeah, let's see how far we can come out. I've got a new piece that I'd love to read. It's, I'm sort of noticing how like wonderfully awkward the bantering is without really anybody to talk to. Like nobody, not really receiving any feedback from the space. And I keep trying to be like, Mindy, just be cool. These are your friends. It's fine. Just we're all poets. It's fine. So a couple pieces just in process that are fresh from this spring. This piece is called In the River of What's Happening Now. You don't have to be cool. Well, that's great. Since that's not happening anyway, thank you for the permission. In the river of what's happening now. A team of fluid mechanics researchers at the University of Washington discovered a new law of physics, a law of incipient separation. It describes the maximum slope of an airplane's body to reduce drag, to reduce resistance and friction in flight. It's a law of sweet spots. There's a moment just before the current separates along the curve, and that's where the most efficiency is. the most power and grace and control. I am studying diagrams of air currents and engineered curves. I am in my pajamas trying to learn coefficients and formulas, trying to grasp something I can't possibly understand. This morning, I woke up tender and confused and lopsided. I'm like this. I woke up feeling the drag of dreaming, feeling lost in some unfinished dream calculations and some slip of power. I want to appreciate this triumph of these researchers. Something about this feels personal, and the deeper down the math I go, the longer I try to hold on to the geometry and the language, the more I feel the edges of my limitations. The more I feel the abstractions resisting and my tight wings, but something inspired and fractal is also happening. Something new in me is on the verge of opening. My mind is exploding with birdsong, or wait, no, it's early spring. The birds are making a racket in the hawthorn tree just outside my window. I put down the reading and close my eyes and listen. I try to tune my instrument to the key of birds. I feel like I can almost make out an argument they are having about sex and nests and worm weather. They've got their own concerns about sweet spots. There is something I am close to understanding, but it can't be understood if it separates from me. I have to get close to knowing it without knowing it. The moment just before conscious grasp, that's where the most power and grace and control are, maybe, when my body is allowed to just know something without explaining it, even to myself. That's all it is, Cloudhead. You're in your pajamas, but new laws of physics are still being invented. New nests being constructed for what hasn't been conceived. There's time. I know so little of what I know, of what I'll need to know. So what? The kettle is boiling, singing urgently. The trick, I think, is to not need to know it. The trick is to trust, to feel where the current is hugging you exactly. This mood, this discovery, these sleep-scented pajamas, this life, this poem, this body, this odd ground flight. If I try or stop trying, I can relax into it. You are already the perfect slope, the perfect shape for what you came here to become. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Woo. All right. This next piece requires just a small little bit of setup. There's a Buddhist loving kindness meditation that's said to stabilize a field of love and compassion, like within and without the practitioner. And you always begin this meditation by recalling someone who has loved you really well, like someone who's loved you unconditionally, and just delighted in you without any agenda or reservation, like a grandmother, a dog, or a friend, whoever arrives, and you just like bask in the memory of being loved like that. You draw it like a bath and get in and soak in the warm feeling of being loved and adored. And if you don't have such a memory, as many of us don't, you just imagine it. And you let yourself have it in whatever form it arrives, and you let that build. And then whenever you're ready, when you feel like full of love, you begin just sending that love back. You imagine the being who loves you standing before you, and then you just pour some goddamn love right out on that person. And then you try to get like a little right? You try to notice how you're giving love and receiving love at the same time, and building a figure eight of love, a love loop, feeding back on itself easily. And then you just enjoy how easy it is to love like that. And then when you're ready, you bring in someone who's a little more difficult to love. And then a little more difficult than that, and a little more difficult than that, and a little more difficult than that. All right, so this poem is called The Buddhist Nuns Are Incredibly Serious and Beautiful and Tell Me to Keep Trying. I've tried loving Donald Trump. I've tried building a pink humming energy field of mercy and forgiveness for him to wander into, a soft, warm thing that teaches softness. I've tried loving the scared, enraged, freaked out white man who shot up the grocery store, the massage parlor, the church. I am only human. I've not gotten close. The love comes out like swords. The love comes out like murder. The love comes out like a terrifying protectress fire that eats every dark and disrespectful thing in its path. A fire that draws boundaries that cannot be crossed, not ever again. I'm sweating just writing about it. I'm furious. Something doesn't stop hissing. I don't believe this is a failure to love. This is love. This is what loving kindness and compassion look like for a form that has gone violent with its own ignorance and pain. The other side of love. Love as accountability. Love as discipline and containment. Love as the holy no. Not love as compassion. Love as the destroyer of the compassion eaters. And as I sit here burning again, I do think I can feel the place in me that is not burning. On the other side of the murder fire, the expanding kindness clouds still expand. And on the other side of the expanding kindness clouds is a green place, a green drunk place so lush, my whole body relaxes into yeses and leaves. This is how I know I'm not broken. This is how I know they haven't broken me. The nuns tell me to keep practicing. It's not a destination thing. It's not a right way thing. They are trying to teach me how to protect and strengthen my heart for the work ahead. So I sit again and surrender to my own pain. I acknowledge all the places where it is hard and I start over. I start with my old dog, my cat, my lover, my nieces. I breathe in the pink humming energy field of mercy. I imagine all the people I love and all the people I don't know but think I could love, and all the pain and struggle ahead. And then I pray like poets pray. O heart, great sage of love, show me what you're made of. O heart, great sage of love, show me what you're made of. O heart, great sage of love, show me what you're made of. Ooh. Great. Thank you for listening. I have not been tracking time. I hope I have time for a few more pieces. Maybe two more pieces. More. Well, I trust that Ben will find a way to cut me off. Great. The poem that starts Rise of the Trustfall, I don't know, stood out to me today. It's another kind of rebirth piece, but there's a sweetness to it. And there's something very Long Beach about it as well, for everybody who lives there. This piece is called After We Saw Kids Pointing at That Dead Baby Whale on the Beach During the Most Romantic Sunset Ever. And you said, I get it, all bitterly. And I said, I'm not sure you do. All right. Here's to all of us. Now that Joni Mitchell lyrics have started to make sense to you, now that your beard is no longer a fashion statement, but a crude three-dimensional graph illustrating the number of years you pictured her lips while failing her. Now that you've cried so hard and long, the 4th Street beggars are pressing quarters into your palms. You know how good it can feel in its own way to be so profoundly disappointed in yourself. How strangely magnificent to be this demolished, to have taken it, as they say, like a man, on the chin, to the testicles, to have tried to take a bite with your last dangling tooth of dignity and come away starving and grinning and sobbing, because really, how much worse can it get? Short answer, a lot worse. So don't think about that right now. You've broken all the promises you never made, and a few that you did and they turned around and broke you right back, so be it. From here on out, you don't have to pretend to be perfect or whole or even right. Your eyes can take a vacation from being windows to your soul. You can hang out with the other war-torn countries who you suddenly share a language with. Poland will show you her scars. Croatia will teach you card games so cutthroat you won't be able to speak for days. Iraq will start accepting your apologies. It may not feel like it just yet, but you've stumbled upon a kind of freedom. Your stomach now full of pride. You can take your expectations off like clothes. Stand outside in the cool night air and show off your brand new shamelessness. Howl if that's your thing. Scare the neighbor's cat. Breathe easy. Notice the moon's gained weight. All right. And a piece from the amazing original. I do feel like, oh my gosh. I think Sleepyhead Assassins, I think we can really say that it was like born at the Ugly Mug. I think the idea for the book happened on the tiny, cramped front steps where Phil would shove a couple of tables and chairs, is the spot where Ricky Mandeville asked me if I had enough poems for a manuscript. And I swear to God, I thought, what a great way to finish my, to just sort of finish my time in poetry. I'm going to wrap it up by just putting some of the best poems in a book, and then I can walk away. Oh, so sweet. All right. Where is, this poem is called Untitled, because no title is good enough. My love poem to poets. If a man is only as good as his word, then I want to marry a man with a vocabulary like yours. The way you say dicey and delectable and octogenarian in the same sentence. That really turns me on. The way you describe the oranges in your backyard using anarchistic and intimate in the same breath. I would follow the legato and staccato of your tongue, wrapping around your diction until listening became more like dreaming, and dreaming became more like kissing you. I want to jump off the cliff of your voice into the suicide of your stream of consciousness. I want to visit the place in your heart where the wrong words die. I want to map it out with a dictionary and points of brilliant light until it looks more like a star chart than a strategy for communication. I want to see where your words are born. I want to find a pattern in their astrology. I want to memorize the script of your seductions. I want to live in the long-winded epics of your disappointments, in the haiku of your epiphanies. I want to know all the names you've given your desires, and I want to find my name among them, because there is nothing more wrecking sexy than the right word. I want to thank whoever told you there was no such thing as a synonym. I want to throw a party for the heartbreak that turned you into a poet. And if it is true that a man is only as good as his word, then sweet Jesus, let me be there the first time you are speechless. And all your explosive wisdom becomes a burning ball of sun in your throat. And all you can bring yourself to utter is, oh God, oh God. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for, thank you, Ben and Steve, for inviting me to come home. And thanks for all the people who came home too. It's really good to see you. Geez. The old time knife, right? It feels really good. If there's like just like a bright thread of meaning and connective tissue to know that that this community, like no matter how we get spread around, it's like it still lives on. I'm gonna finish with a piece that is just that I just love. This is at the end of Open Your Mouth Like a Bell. And this is a prayer poem, and it's called Oh Ginkgo. A 49-million-year-old fossil was found with leaves of Ginkgo biloba pressed into it like small perfect fans or bells, finely veined so that they photograph like the undersides of mushrooms, like the ancestors of lungs and accordions. Why we aren't building temples to ginkgo trees in every place, everywhere, I am not clear on. The genome of the ginkgo tree is 3 times as complex as the human genome. I am mostly a stranger to genomes, but no more than I can be to anything that is at my center. Ginkgo has defense mechanisms for its defense mechanisms. While synthesizing chemicals to fight off insects, it is also synthesizing chemicals to attract that insect's enemies, and also probably adding especially spiritual chapters to the art of war. It withstands pollution, disease, salt, drought, can spontaneously change sex, all while announcing autumn with this elegant golding, this egg yolk butter sun golding so bright and gentle you might think you are hallucinating spring. When the atom bomb detonated, annihilating and incinerating, charring even the air, the roots of the ginkgos of Hiroshima remained unscathed. In only a few days, they sprouted new growth above ground. Let us pray. O Ginkgo, teach us, great tree, how to be complex enough to be this complex, how to be vast enough to grow beyond our history while not denying our history. Teach us how to survive ourselves. Thank you, everybody. Little Pushcart.